Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vijay and this is the ninth video in the series. And in this one, basically we are going to discuss about another data type, that is Boolean data type. So in Python, the Boolean data type is a built-in data type that represent one of the two possible values, that is true or false. And Booleans are primarily used for logical operations, decision making, and conditional branching in programming. And they play a crucial role in controlling the flow of a program by determining which block of code should be executed based on certain condition. Okay, so you can declare an initialize boolean variable by assigning the values true or false to them. So as you can see my screen, so this is how you declare a boolean variable and assign these true and false. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump to our terminal and try to see boolean data type in action. So if you look at my screen, so I'm creating two variable is raining and is sunny, and I'm passing boolean values to it. Okay, and I'm just printing that out. Okay, so this is how you declare a boolean variable and you can pass boolean values to it. Then we can use these boolean variables to control your flow of a program. So if you look at this piece of code, so this is just a if condition. So here it's a if condition and here I'm checking. So in if block, this is a boolean expression. Okay, so the condition is a boolean expression, so whatever condition you give here, it result into a boolean value. Okay, so that is why we call it as a boolean expression. Okay, but here I'm passing that variable directly, since it's also be considered as a boolean expression. Okay, so since it is true, then my if block will be executed. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, so if you see here, so if is raining, then we need to take the umbrella. Okay, so that is why it is printing that out, because my this variable is true. Okay, if it would have been false, then my else condition would have been executed. Okay, so since I have declared that as a false, my else condition is being printed out. Okay, then we have Boolean operators. So Boolean operators are used to combine multiple Boolean expressions together. So first one we have AND operator. So AND operator returns true if both of the operands are true. Okay, or if both of the conditions are true. So here you can see that if both of the operands are true, it is returning true. Okay, and in other case it is returning false. So let's uncomment this one and let's run this. Okay, so in this one, since both are true, it is returning true, but in other example, since one is false, it is returning false. Okay, then we have operator. So OR operator it returns true if at least one of the operands is true. Okay, so in this one you can see in first three, since one of the operands is true, it is returning true. Okay, and else it will return false, like if both is false. So let's comment this out. So here you can see that since one of my operand is true, it is returning true. Okay, but here I have both as a false, it is returning false. Then we have or operator, sorry, not operator. Okay, so not operator negates the boolean value of it operands. Okay, so if the operands is true, it will return false, and if the operands is false, it will return true. Okay, so here it will make true to false and false to true. Okay, so it will negate that. So you can see the output here. So let's see some real-time example using these operators. Okay, so in the first example you can see, so here you can see that I am using this input function. So input function we have already discussed in previous video. So input function is used to get the input from a console. Okay, then I'm converting that input to a int, because whatever things you are going to pass from your console, it will be in a string format. Okay, so I'm converting that into an integer using this int function. Okay, and that I am checking whether that is greater than 0, and also with this AND operator whether that is divisible by 2 or not. Okay, so let's run this first. Okay, so it is asking me to input a number. So suppose I have given 10 here. So what will happen, this 10, this input will get that 10 as a string, since I'm passing it from console and input is used to get the value from console. So it will take that 10 as a string, then I'm converting that into an integer, so that will come in this num variable. Okay, and then using this AND operator, I am evaluating two Boolean expressions here. So in first one, I'm checking if my number is greater than 0 or not. Okay, and then in second one, I'm checking if that is divisible by 2 or not. Okay, so I'm combining that with AND operator. So in this case, both should be true, correct, then only my if block will be executed. Okay, since I have passed here and 10 is again greater than 0 and also it is divisible by 2. Okay, so in this case my if block will be executed. That is what happening here. So okay, so the number 10 is positive and even. Okay, then let's see another real-time example, that is with OR operator. So if you see here, I am taking, let me comment this out so that we can proceed with next example. So here if you see that I am taking two inputs from my console, one is like maths grade and another one is science grade. Okay, and I'm checking if either of them is greater than or equal to 90 or not. Okay, if either of them is equal, so in those cases where we need to check if either of a condition is true or not, then we use OR operator. Okay, so let's first run this one. Suppose in my maths grade I have given 80, then in my science grade I have given 94. Okay, so in that case, since I need to evaluate either of the condition as a true, that is why I have used OR operator, and my science grade is greater than 90, so either of them is either of condition is true, then in that case it is, that is why it is going to if block, correct. So OR operator is used where you just want to check whether either of a condition is true or false. Okay, then let's see one example for not operator. Okay, so in this example you can see I'm getting an email ID from my console. Okay, and I'm checking two condition. Okay, if that email ID is empty, okay, not email ID means it will check whether that is empty or not. Okay, if that is empty, then that is not a valid email ID, correct. Or if at the rate is not present in that email ID, so not in, what it will do, it will check whether this at the rate is present in that email ID or not. Okay, if that is not present, so if either of that these condition is true, then I am printing that it is not a valid email ID. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, suppose I am passing Vijay123 as an email ID. So since I do not have any at the rate things here, so that is why it is considering that as an invalid email ID. Okay, and suppose if I run it again and let me pass nothing here, that is also a invalid, correct, because I'm checking whether that email ID is empty or not. That is why it is again printing this message. But let me give some valid email ID, suppose Vijay at the rate uh, gmail.com. Then in this case it's a valid email ID because it is going to else block. Then we have comparison operators. So these operators we have already seen in previous videos, but the result of a comparison operators is either true or false. Okay, so if you see here, let me uncomment these code. So what I'm basically doing is I am taking two inputs, okay, from my console, and I'm comparing those two inputs, and based on the comparison operator I'm printing that out. Okay, so a comparison operator will always return into true or false. Okay, and you can use this comparison in your if block, okay, if you want to write your program. So let's run this one. Suppose my first number is 10 and my second number is 20. Okay, so using comparison operator you can see that the result of each comparison operator that I'm doing here, it is either true or false. Okay, so here just I wanted to show you that the result of comparison operator is either true or false. Okay, then let's move forward. Then in Python there are few values that is considered as a true and few things that is considered as a false. Okay, so let's see what all things are considered as a true in Python. Okay, so if you have any non-zero numbers, non-empty sequence, and then non-empty dictionary, non-empty set, and if you have any custom object where this particular method boolean length is returning true or non-zero, then those are considered to be as a true. Okay, and for false case, if we have anything like if the value itself is a false, and if we have any value that is a none, so none is another data type in Python, we'll discuss it later. Okay, and then if we have any like zero value, zero integer, and like any zero float, and if we have any like empty sequences, empty dictionary, empty set, and where this boolean and length method for any custom object is returning false and zero result, then those are considered as a false values. Okay, so these two things you can skip at this moment, like custom object, because I've not covered classes and object. But yeah, you can take this screenshot, and this is just for a reference, like what all things are true and false in Python. Okay, so and also we have one bool function available in Python that converts the value into a boolean representation, that is either true or false. Okay, so if you see here, I am passing these values and like sequence and dictionary here, same here as well. So it is converting that into true or false. Okay, so as I already discussed, if we have non negative values, if we have any float values, and if you have any sequence of a string character, and this one, like if we have any non-empty list and then non-empty dictionaries, and those are considered as a true, that is why it is returning true. Okay, and then these all are where we have zero integer value, then 0.0 as a float value, empty string, empty list, empty dictionary, and then none, then those are considered as a false. Okay, so Boolean function is one of the way that you can use to convert your values into a Boolean representation, and you can branch your conditions accordingly. Okay, then let's see how these Boolean expressions we can use in if, elif, and else cases, just to control the flow of a program. Okay, so here in this example I am taking age from input. Okay, and I'm using if elif else block to execute a particular piece of code. Okay, so let me run this one. So suppose if I'm passing my age as a 17. Okay, so in that case it will execute this block of code, because this 17 is greater than equal to 16, but this is less than 24. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, so it is saying that I can apply for learning license. Okay, so let's put some different value here. Suppose if I am giving age 24 on. Okay, so here it is saying that I am eligible for applying driving license. But if I am giving something that is like suppose 10, then it, in that case it is not meeting these two conditions, correct, and it will go to else block. Okay, so I'm not eligible for driving. Okay, so this is how we can like pass the values, and this condition that is there in if elif, that is a Boolean expression. So whatever things we are comparing here, that will result into a true or false. Okay, based on that particular piece of code will be executed. Okay, again in the next example I have again some if else condition here, and here I'm showing the nested if else. Okay, so in else you can see that I have again another if else here. Okay, so let's comment this one and run this one. Okay, so suppose if I'm passing 10 as a age, so in that case I am a minor. Okay, and if I pass suppose something like 60, then in that case it will go to if case, if block. Okay, and here also it will check whether 60 is less than 65 or not. That is true, it is less than this one, correct. In that case I am a adult. Okay, so it is printing that out. Okay, if I am giving anything like 70, then in that case it will go to else, and then and here also will go to else because it is not meeting this criteria. Okay, so here in this case you got a feel how we can use like if else, if else in your program. Okay. Okay, then we have a concept of short circuit evaluation. Okay, so what happens when we use logical operator like and or, so in that case it is not necessary that both the operand should be evaluated to determine the final result. Okay, so let's see this one. Suppose if you have two conditions and you are using and operator, and if my left hand side condition is false, then it is not like I need to evaluate right hand side condition, because if my first one is false, then result will be false in and operator case, because for and both conditions should be true. Okay, but since here this my first condition is returning false, then there is no point checking this condition. Okay, so it is skipping this condition. Okay, that is why we are calling it as a short circuit evaluation. Okay, and in our case as well, if you see here, suppose if my this condition, and in our case what happens, either of the condition should be true. Okay, so if my first condition is true, then there is no point checking the second condition. Okay, because in our case only one condition should be fulfilled. Okay, either of the condition should fulfill. Okay, so if my left hand side condition is true, then there is no point checking right hand side condition. Okay, because one should be true, that is why it will skip checking this condition. Okay, so let's see some example here. So here what is happening, I'm declaring two variable x and y. Okay, and I'm checking if that is less than 7, if x is less than 7, and if y is greater than 9. Okay, so in this case I'm using and operator, and x is 5, so 5 is less than 7, less than 7, that is true. Okay, so in and case I need to evaluate this condition as well. Okay, to determine the final result. Okay, but if this would have been false, in that case this condition should not be evaluated. Okay, so let's run this one first. Okay, so in this case you are seeing that it is giving true. Okay, but suppose if I am putting 11 here, that is uh, that is not a less than 7. Okay, in that case it will give me a false, but also in that case it is giving me false result. Also in that case it is not going to evaluate this condition. Okay, it will skip that. Okay, then let's check other example. Okay, so here I'm taking age as an input, and also some short circuit is happening, short circuit evaluation is happening here. Okay, suppose if I pass my age as, suppose let me run this one. If my I passing my age as a. Okay, so a is not a digit. Okay, so this is a digit function is used to check whether a particular value is digit or not. Okay, so since this is a character, so it is checking that. So since it is not a digit, so it will return false. Okay, so in that case it will not proceed and check this condition, correct, because at the first place it is giving false here, and in and operator, if left hand side is false, then it will not proceed to check right hand side condition. Okay, so it is doing short circuiting here. Okay, so in this case it will say that you are not eligible to vote. Okay, but suppose if I am giving 20 here, then in that case it will evaluate both the condition. It is, so here it is checking that is digit or not, that will result as a true. Okay, and also it will go and check right hand side condition as well. Okay, because left hand side is giving a result in a true format, then it has to complete the right hand side. Okay, but in a previous example it was doing short circuiting. Okay, so this is how short circuit evaluation happened. Let's take one more example. So here what is happening is, let me first comment this one. So here I have one dictionary. Okay, so this is how we declare dictionary. Okay, so I am getting a value from this dictionary. Okay, if that is present, then that particular value is going to be put here in this variable. Okay, if it will give none here, suppose if that particular key is not available, then it will give me here, means it will go and perform this particular condition. Okay, so let's run this first. Okay, so in both the cases it will give me Python and dark, but suppose if my theme is not available, okay, in that case it will result here none. Okay, and none, if we convert that into a boolean, it will be a false. Okay, so in our case, okay, what happens if left hand side is false, then it has to evaluate right hand side as well. Okay, so that is why if we run this one, it is giving light here. Okay, but in previous case when I had both the values available in my dictionary, it is doing short circuiting. Okay, because I was getting true here. Okay, and that value I'm returning to a variable. Okay, so it was not evaluating this one, correct? So it was doing short circuiting in this example. Okay, so this is how we have this concept of short circuit evaluation and how it works. And sometimes there is a need to return a boolean value from a function. Okay, so before that, let me comment all the previous code. Okay, so what I was talking is, so sometimes there is a need to return a boolean value from a function. Okay, so let me uncomment this piece of code. So here if you see, I have declared two function, is positive and is valid email id. Okay, so I need to check whether a particular number is positive or not, and also whether a particular email id is valid or not. Okay, so I need to return true or false. Okay, so this is how we can return a true or false values from a function. So in the return keyword, I am giving this expression, and this expression at the end, it will be evaluated and it will return either true or false. Okay, so suppose if I'm passing 10 as a number, then 10 is greater than 0, it will result into a true, correct? So this is how we can return boolean values from a function. And here in this case also, suppose if I'm passing any email id. Okay, so what we are checking here is, I'm checking if at the rate and dot is present in the email id or not. Okay, with and operator. So here this expression will be evaluated into true or false. Okay, so if my email id is at the rate gmail.com, then in that case it will return true. Okay, so this is how will return a uh, like true and false values from a function. Okay, so I need to print this out. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, so in both the cases you can see that my function is returning true. Okay, because I'm passing those values in a proper format. Okay, so next one we have, last one we have is a ternary operator. Okay, so this is how we declare a ternary operation in Python. So we have this on true value, and we have this if else. So this is the condition for if, and in else case it will return this one. Okay, so let's uncomment this one. So here my number is 10. Okay, so what this ternary operator will do is, like, if that number is divisible by 2, then it will return like even. Okay, if that is not, then it will return odd. Okay, so this is how we write a ternary operator operation in Python. Okay, so let's run this one. So in that case it is returning even. Okay, but in other programming language we have a different notation, but this is how we write a ternary operation in Python. Okay, so that's all I wanted to cover in this video, guys. I hope that you have got an idea about what Boolean data type is, and we have seen lots of example in, and we have also seen lots of code in this example. So you would have got a better idea how to use Boolean data type in your program. Okay, so do like this video, and if you have any doubt, put your doubt in the comment section, and also share this video with your friends. Okay, so let's meet in another video.